Welcome, everyone, to this Professional Development Hour presentation brought to you proudly by the Atlanta Metro chapter of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, an affiliate of the National Society of Professional Engineers. Before we begin, we'd like to let you know that any opinions presented tonight are solely the opinions of the presenter and not that of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, the National Society of Professional Engineers, or any other of its affiliates. We certainly hope you will enjoy tonight's presentation, so sit back and relax, and on with the show.
Welcome to our dinner presentation. Our presentation today is the age of AI and cyber threats, securing the smart world engineers must lead. Our presenter today is Mr. Jay Brackman. I'll let him introduce himself. He'll do a much better job than I would. I'll just let you know that he is a little bit different background from what y'all might have thought. He actually started teaching, and he's paid his dues there. Jay holds a Bachelor of Arts degrees in history from Furman and an MA in history from Georgia College and State University. So please join me giving Jay a warm welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be with everybody tonight. What we're talking about tonight is something that's important to me, and I'm sure to many of you it's important to you. Whether you know that much about it or not, this is important. Before we get started, I want to get a little bit of a better idea of the crowd we have, and I know we have some people who are not engineers, and I'm not either. If you're a civil engineer, raise your hand. Civil, okay. Mechanical, all right. Electrical, light electrical. Any aeronautical, anybody? Biomedical, okay. Chemical. Computer, what? Industrial, okay, great. Well, I'm glad to have everyone here. I'm glad to be here. As I just was saying, I'm Jay Brackman. I work for a company called Thrive. I'm not here necessarily representing them, but I did get introduced to Roger through a friend of mine I've known forever. Worked at a camp with him in North Carolina back in the day, Adam Hewitt. And Adam told me that y'all were looking for a speaker to possibly talk about cybersecurity. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm glad to be here. So I'm going to show a little bit of an agenda here. Again, we're not going to follow this that closely, but I do want to get to a point at the end where if you do have questions, I can answer this for you. But we are going to look at how cybersecurity affects engineering and affects each one of you. We're also going to look how AI, which has been around for a long time, but people think about ChatGPT being formed and released in November of 22, and you think, well, AI just came around, but as most of us know, AI has been around for a very long time. But how does it complicate the landscape in your businesses? We're also going to look at real world threats. We're going to look at what engineers must do, and we're going to talk about how to be proactive in your business. So as we look at our world today, especially you as engineers, and again, I'm not in your field, but I can only imagine what you've gone through. I've done some reading as I've gotten prepared for this. Cybersecurity needs are everywhere. I'm in the technical field. That's what I do. I sell technology. We're supporting all types of clients with cybersecurity needs. Construction companies, manufacturing companies, obviously law firms, medical companies, hospitals, nonprofits. It could be anybody who might have a cybersecurity need, and we're assisting them. Specifically in your fields, though, you can look here at some of the bullet points. You've got building management systems, you have autonomous machines, you have wastewater treatment plant automation. All these things are affected by whether they're cyber prepared or not. We're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. How many people, I know Marty does this, but give me an example. So you working with some plants down in South Georgia that probably, those were built a long time ago. You've had to retrofit some of these, correct? Had to.
I have a wonderful story. I had a brand spanking new. I had brand new water treatment plant in North Georgia that went online in October of 2020, and in September of 2020 they got hacked and they got locked down by rogue nations, not people outside of the country, that completely shut down the entire system. And the entire water treatment plant can be run on a phone or an iPad. So I mean, everything is connected, everything. So it's real, and that's municipal water. That's when you turn on your faucet, that's your drinking water.
People just trying to get water. So remember, whether you're using it a lot in your business today, whether you feel like it's your responsibility, there's cybersecurity needs that are out there, and you as engineers are really on the front line, if you think about it. Yes, are you a network engineer? Are you a computer engineer? Probably not. Doesn't matter. We still have to be mindful of that. Remember, AI, so if everybody knows AI stands for artificial intelligence, but what is AI? If somebody was to give me a little synopsis of what AI is, what is AI? Anybody?
It's just an algorithm that makes intelligent decisions.
That's a good one. An algorithm that makes intelligent decisions. That's a good way to put it. It's what creates AI, what we call today AI, or what are called LLMs. Most people know what that means. That's large language models. These are huge groups of information that synthesize information very quickly. It's the same things punch cards were doing back in the day. It's just doing it on a lot larger scale. But now they control traffic, they control energy, they control water, they control HVAC, they control all types of plants. Remember, when people put things online today, or when people come out with a new plant or a new product or a new service, they want to be able to control that from afar, right? What does that do for you? It saves money. Instead of having to have so many employees there at the plant doing work, you're actually able to run that partly from afar. We were doing a lot of that in 2020, weren't we? A lot of work from afar. So remember, the type of trust that people put in us, our customers put in us, because we're putting the effort in to build these systems, to build these products, to build these processes. This is our responsibility. Cybersecurity, even though we're not the ones doing it, we have to be aware of it all the time. Let's look at some risks, some things that have actually happened in the world. And again, we can talk about this the rest of the night and not stop. There have been hacks in all types of places. The ones we hear about, and I did put Target on there because Target had to do with, they got in through the HVAC system, right? But remember, it's not just early on, and I remember I've been in this business about 25 years, I remember thinking, well, the hackers, what are they going to do? Yeah, they're going to go for banks. Why wouldn't you? That's where the money is. I'll go directly to the bank and take money. I'll go directly into someone's bank account and take money. I'll go to MGM out in Vegas and take money. Like you think that's the easy way. Now, again, if you know anything about what happened in many of those hacks, these were very, very targeted attacks that took years to pay off. Now, they got a lot of money in the end and didn't have to pay it back, but it took them years to actually get there. What hackers really want, though, hackers really want to find an easy way in, no matter where it is. I talk to clients of mine, and maybe somebody I sell to is a small law firm with 40 or 50 people, and they say, oh man, nobody's going after our network. I'll look at their website and it'll say HTTP:, and it's not a secure website. And they'll say, we don't have to do that. Nobody's going after us. They're going after everybody. Anybody grew up, I know people grew up, and we grew up in the South. You grow up and you go to your grandmother's house, and her back door is always open, right? And the lock, even if she had to lock the door, it's not really a good lock, right? It's pretty loose. But we love it. It's grandmother's house. It smells good when we go in, and it's easy to get in. That's exactly what hackers are looking for. They're looking for an easy way in, no matter where it is. And they use AI and they use software tools to find networks and to find places like this, water treatment plants, bridges that are controlled, electronic bridges, whatever it is. They're just looking for things that are easy to control.
The low-hanging fruit.
They're looking for low-hanging fruit, exactly. So as they do this, they're preparing themselves to go back and go after these people because they'd love to get millions of dollars from Target or somebody. It's a lot easier to get 50 or 100 grand from somebody else. And that's exactly what they do. So they did the same thing with a water treatment facility. And the difference in this is they did hack that, and they changed the sodium chloride levels in the water. And so that obviously could have affected people. People could have gotten sick. Potentially people could have died. It actually got caught by an employee before it actually got into the main system. But we think of these things usually in terms of somebody trying to go and make money. And they are trying to make money, but other times these bad actors have really bad intentions. They're actually trying to go and possibly harm people. So we got to be aware of that too. So there have been a lot of building management system. Again, I just put a couple of examples on here. School systems have been hacked. I had a Rotary down in Henry County a few years ago, and one of the speakers from the school system in Henry County came and spoke to us, and they got hacked. School system got hacked down there. And the government got hacked the year before in Henry County. Again, they're going after anybody. If it's an easy door to get in, that's what they're going after.
Actually, Henry County made the news this week. Their summer school got hacked.
Did they really?
Yes, summer school instruction include pornography.
Really? It's amazing.
A few years ago, that city of Atlanta got hit with a ransomware attack
They did too, right?
in their court system.
Yeah, it happens everywhere. And again, we're talking about bigger counties. Henry County is one of the top 10 largest counties in the state. Fulton's one of the top 3. But they're going to go after small counties too. Again, it doesn't matter who they go after. They're looking for smaller amounts. It's a lot easier to hit smaller counties. It's a lot easier to hit wastewater treatment plants in small areas. And people there are sort of thinking, nobody's going to hit us. It doesn't matter. What they're looking for is that easy lock on the back of the door, the back of the house. That's what they're looking for. The scary part today is it affects your business. It affects not only projects that you manage and possibly ones that you're trying to retrofit, but it definitely affects ones that you're building day to day, week to week, year to year. Any questions here? I know y'all have seen these examples. So let's talk a little bit about AI. We know a little bit more about it. We know that it's an algorithm. We know how it gathers and synthesizes that information. There are a lot of benefits. Again, AI optimizes information very quickly for us. Who uses ChatGPT or Copilot? Anybody? Raise your hand. Good. Nobody. If you're not using it today, don't be afraid of them. They're willing to use them. Don't share any personal information on there. But if you're just looking for questions to answer, or you want it to create something for you, it's a sort of an interesting exercise to go through. AI also is very good at actually predicting information. If you gave him, and there are obviously bettors trying to do this today, not that you can do that very well, but hey, we have so many of these players, we have this many returning starters, we have a team that's playing this team, and this team has this many players or has this many star players, this team has this. People are putting all this kind of information into AI trying to get predicting just for gambling. But how can you use it in your business? You could obviously use it in a lot of different ways, right? There are a lot of different ways where you as engineers could use the predictive power of AI to help you. And then monitoring information. Yes, sir?
Because I have been following this for quite a while and looking for articles. There's a municipal public works department somewhere in the Northeast that started developing AI as a predictive tool for their water and sewer systems. Mm-hmm. Specifically, able to predict where water main breaks would occur. Mm-hmm. What they did was, once they had developed it or ready to put it online, they decided to reset the clock, go back to starting in the 60s and having it analyze the system from the 60s on. And it was about 98% efficient at finding where all the historical breaks were happening.
Right.
it was actually very scary when I was reading the article how accurate they had developed the system to be.
Incredibly accurate, right?
Incredibly accurate.
And that's the power of AI. It's not about gambling. I just use that as an example. In your business, there's a lot of ways where you can use it to help you. Now, look at the risks, though. There's always a balance, right?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in and garbage out. So, and this is it, the data in, data out, adversarial data. So, AI is using data to make predictions. What if the data's wrong? Each one of you is an engineer. You look at data every day. Data matters, right? And if data's wrong, you know what you think it should be. So if data's wrong, what do? A lot of times you'll redo the calculation. You'll go look, is there some kind of a monitor that's wrong or that's been turned off for a period? But sometimes hackers will go in and actually give you bad data. And they'll put bad data into place, which will actually, if you have AI running some type of a process, it might throw that process off. What if it opens a drawbridge at the wrong time and people are driving up the ramp? Again, there are a lot of bad things that can happen. That's the same thing. I was actually going to use that for sensor spoofing. So you can actually put on they could spoof the sensor and actually say, hey, people are actually not on the they're not on the bridge right now, but a ship's coming through. We need to open up the drawbridge, and people could die. And then algorithm manipulation. So remember, AI is a powerful tool. It's going to, I was talking to the ladies in the back, it's going to change our world. It's already changing our world, and it's going to continue to. For those of you who have grandchildren, children who just graduated college and high school like Marty does, I mean, their lives are going to be way different than ours. I look at my father's life, and my dad grew up during the Depression, and he was around before TV was around, and now my dad's on his phone all day now. I was reading on my phone about Georgia Tech football or whatever it is. Things are going to be different, and this is rapidly changing.
You mentioned the field of something safety related, the sensors for a drawbridge. My field, I'm familiar with machine guarding, and in machine guarding, you typically have hard interlock switches. They have to be safety rated. You can't have the contacts welding shut, for example. And they can't feed into a regular PLC. They either feed into a safety relay or a safety rated controller. And I'm wondering, okay, obviously if someone wants to hack a drawbridge, they might want to hack a machine, even the safety rated ones.
Right. No doubt. But they might hack in any type of one, right? Could easily happen. The key is, and we're going to look at, great point, we're going to look at some ways, how do we protect ourselves from this? I mean, these risks are there. How do we protect ourselves? How do we put some things in place, whether they're manual overrides or whatever? What do we put in place for you as engineers where you protect your customer, you protect your company, you protect your AI, your intellectual property, whatever it might be? Good point. So who owns the risk? This is just a short slide to show that the risk is shared by everybody, but you may have looked at this in your head for years and said, well, I'm an electrical engineer, I'm a civil engineer, this is what I do. I stay in my lane and this is what I do, right? It's not that way today. We all have to be thinking, you're a stakeholder in the cybersecurity plan of your client or your company every day. It's hard to imagine that. You might say, well, I'm not a computer engineer. How do I know anything about that? It doesn't matter. You need to bring in the right people. If it's not you that needs to do it, you need to bring in the right people who can help you with that. So everybody's involved. You can't put your hands up and say, I didn't know, or I didn't think about this. So we already talked about some things that can go wrong. Spoofing sensor triggers a false bridge collapse. A smart building controls hijack a hospital. And again, these are real life things that have happened. Traffic signals get manipulated to cause chaos. These are things that happen every day now. Every day. So how do you as engineers, think about it, put yourself in a situation. Some of y'all may be on a project right now that's about to end. Y'all are way past this. Y'all have gone through this. Some of you might be starting a new project soon. Who's starting a project or started one recently? Anybody? Okay. Yeah. When you're starting one recently, you have to think about these things. You have to put yourself in the case of looking down the road and working backwards. All these things can go wrong. AI is a powerful tool. We're so happy to have it. But then there's risk over here. So we've got to be careful. So what kind of things do you need to do? What kind of actionable items can you take? What kind of things can you do day to day to prepare yourself and prepare your clients? One thing is we've been talking about generally is including cybersecurity in the design. And how do we do that? Any ideas? How do we include cybersecurity? By the way, if I say cybersecurity, somebody else give me, is everybody clear on that topic, what that means? Anybody not? Raise your hand, it's okay.
Basically means you're wanting to control access. You're wanting to control access to any of your digital assets. Basically try to keep the bad players out.
Yeah, that's definitely a definition. There are a lot of things in cybersecurity that always have to do with resiliency, making sure you have immutable backups where backups can't be overwritten. So if you ever had to revert back to something else, you always have a copy somewhere that's good, right? And if you have to repoint the IP address of that network and run that from somewhere else, you can. But we've got to include cybersecurity in the design of our projects and the retrofitting of our projects. Again, don't think you're dealing with a client, don't think you're dealing with a project that's not going to be affected. It could be. Doesn't mean it's going to be. We usually tell people it's not if you get hacked, it's when. Because as a technology company, we can't take the risk of putting somebody out there and saying, well, you're a smaller company, you're probably not going to get hacked, so we'll go with this cheap route and we won't do this for you. We go the full route with every client of ours because we know we can't take the risk. We have to make sure they're protected because we take the risk. When they sign over and give us the keys to run their networks, and they may be in several countries, they may have a lot of different locations, we take the risk that day. So we're not gonna, if somebody says, well, I can't afford that, well, we're probably not the right client for them. We're probably not the right company for them. Part of that, the second line is collaborating early. So I know if you think about projects that some of you guys have done over the years, you probably weren't dealing with IT early on, right? You were dealing with other.
IT doesn't deal with us. I'll put the burden back on IT because they're usually very hard for us to work with.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
I mean, IT usually doesn't want to need a mic. Here's the mic. The mic's necessary for require. I would say that IT does not work with the engineering teams all that well. Richard, I think it's off. It's necessary to record. There it is. It's on now.
I would say that the onus falls on IT does not work with the engineering groups usually all that well. If it's brought up, there is IT versus OT is still a battleground.
Well,
hopefully it will be changing, but it's still a battleground.
Is it ego-driven? What do you think the problem is?
I don't believe it's ego-driven. I think it's a misunderstanding between, and there probably is a little bit of ego because IT actually, I'll step back. IT looks at a computer system as your laptop. If your laptop breaks, it's Friday. I'll deal with it on Monday. In the OT world, if my PLC goes down, I'm losing money from this second on. I need it fixed in the next hour.
Yeah.
What?
Like my field, broadcasting.
Broadcasting, same thing. It's got to be up.
Computers.
Yeah, it has to be up now. I'm losing thousands or millions of dollars
If I
a
can't hear
minute.
commercials, I'm screwed.
So some of it's a perspective. They look at it as, we'll fix it. I got lots of servers, I got lots of laptops, no big deal. My world is minutes.
Right. So priorities, your priorities are different than theirs, and you're not willing to take the chance. It's your client. You're not willing to take the chance and let them be down. Right.
But one of the big problems you have too is your typical IT department is nothing more than a glorified Microsoft salesman. So they don't understand this stuff in your general IT department. They don't know the first thing about how computers really work. They don't understand security. They haven't gone through design reviews.
Right.
So that creates a lot of problem in this world.
No, good point. Sure.
I'm currently working
On a few concourse extension projects. IT has been part of the design group since the inception of these projects. Because, I mean, just think about your normal airport concourse, gate agents, ticketing agents, all of this stuff. We have these buildings are almost totally running off of IT. Secondarily, they've got electrical circuits, but primarily, we got to get the IT right, or these buildings won't be functioning very well. So they've been part of the design team from the very beginning, and I know that they've been taking cybersecurity threats extremely important part of their design efforts. As a civil site engineer, a lot of their needs, both within the buildings and outside of the buildings, bringing in fiber optic and other such closed circuit type connections, is a big part of a lot of our designs now.
Understood. Roger, are you
I was going to comment that IT departments with the priorities. Oh, it's time for your update. You gotta interrupt your project.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I work with these people. I'm not an engineer myself, but I understand that sometimes engineers, sometimes people in our field probably don't get along with people as well. They're really good at fixing problems, but they're really not good with your priorities. It's about their priorities. They just got a list they're going down. The ones who are good with people are the ones we send out on site. Those are the ones who took a shower today and combed their hair. Yeah. But y'all are making good points. I mean, it's so important to collaborate early. Now look, your point is well taken too, but that's got to be a management issue. Hey, we've got to get these two groups together. If you're gonna complain, that's okay, but we've got to get these groups together because we've got to start from the beginning. If we don't collaborate early, the project gets way down the road. Anybody hear about that German airport that was built, the airport that was built south of Berlin? Anybody ever been to Berlin? You know, when it was just West Berlin, they had the two older airports, and then they had one in East Berlin. Well, they decided after the wall fell in 1990, we're going to build one huge airport, and it took them forever to even get it approved. It didn't get approved till 2004. They didn't start on it until 2006. We all know what happened in 2007 and 8. And so suddenly it didn't get built for years. It finally got built, I think it opened 6 or 7 years ago. Now it's doing well. But there was such poor planning. They had to replace 170,000 feet of cable. 170,000 feet of cable that was it was the wrong type of cable in certain cases, and it was run to the wrong areas. Again, not the planning was terrible. So we got to do that in your projects and the projects that you're retrofitting, the projects that you're trying to make cyber secure. Make sure you're working with IT. There are people that do want to work with you.
risk assessments.
Risk assessments. We're talking about machine safety over here. We have risk assessments that have to be done even in the networking of cybersecurity.
We do those for clients all the time. They're clients who sometimes come to us and they have no interest in us actually they have an internal IT team. They just want us to come do a gap assessment. Where are your risks? Where are the things that are potential problems? It may not be a problem today, but we see, hey, this isn't backed up, or this data, you only have one internet circuit at this location. What if the internet went down there? Oh, well, we'd be out of business. Well, you need to have at least two internet circuits, if not 3.
And I've had to deal with that going into work at 4 in the morning. I've had to deal with that lack of redundancy. Modern television station is extremely dependent on a functioning internet for video, from portable units. Last station I worked at, they decided all the phones would be IP phones with no redundant dial POTS line to call for emergency use. When there were emergencies with the pipe, I got called at 3 in the morning from employee phones. So I got used to being in Richmond, Virginia. I got used to a lot of calls from the DC. A lot of the people who worked there were from DC area. So I just, 240, okay, Maryland, all right, okay, who's this? But the idea is that we're so dependent on the internet in so many ways.
That's right.
And they had a backhoe fade in the middle of the night for some reason.
Yeah, you got to have backups. And these things are things that you can plan in your projects at the very beginning. You might have problems with IT. I'm not saying you don't, and I know why you do. It makes total sense. You're not the first person I've heard that from. But make sure that management is bringing those people together. You don't want to get way down the road and not be looking at this. And also, if we're going to go ahead.
My question is this.
Yeah.
I've been in secure systems going back into the 60s. And the only way we had security was one, limit access. Very limited access. And that access was changed randomly. The enemy of security is routine. Has any of that changed with AI?
Great question, and it has. One of the things that's happening even more, I mean, a lot of people, y'all worked in companies where the IT will tell you to change your password every 90 days. There are companies now where there is no password. So the people you said who would have limited access, what they used to do in companies I've worked for is, hey, we have this general password for this company that we use internally, and we're going to change it every month. Today, companies have one that's generated for you, and it changes immediately. That totally limits access. If you don't have the main thumbprint or whatever, even to get into that system, for you to have a password generated for you, you can't even get the system. Now it gives other people access, but they still have to have that thumbprint. They still have to be able to get in.
I have one. I was working on a federal project a few years ago, and part of their security, they had handed us a passkey dongle. And what the passkey dongle did was, it was randomly changing the PIN code every 30 seconds. So whenever you needed to access the system, you needed to grab that dongle, because the minute you got onto the system, entered your username and password, it would ask you for the passkey, and the dongle would be giving you that passkey. And if you didn't type in the right passcode, you were not only not getting access, but they were locking out your account.
Yeah, and I've worked for a company that does that too, and why don't they do that today? Why do you think? Because people will lose those dongles. Now everything happens on your phone. Because people say, I know you're going to have your phone with you, so let me go through authentication through your phone.
Same algorithms also exist on the phone. We have 2FA.
It's the same 2FA, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I've got that MFA with... I have that MFA with my company, and then 2 of our collaboration companies also use that MFA device. It's Microsoft Authenticator.
Sure. That's a normal one a lot of people are using. There's a bunch of those companies out there. And that's, again, part of what needs to come into the planning of what you guys are doing, is planning those things ahead of time. And again, you don't have to have that idea in your head. Make sure IT is involved. But people are also going to be able to want to use AI at work. So how do you use AI safely at work? Well, you need to have people, you and other people need to demand explainable, testable AI. Again, you can have an AI, what we call AI in a silo. It's not ChatGPT, that's the free version, right? It's a silo within your company or within your project. You can still get all the information you need out of there. You can still synthesize information, but it's secure. Again, people to get into those type of AI platforms, you have to have two-factor authentication. You have to use your phone just to get in there, right? And then choose secure components and protocols. I know you guys are thinking about this every day. I know some of this is repetitive, but remember, don't think that cybersecurity is not part of your job. Engineers are involved with it too. Now, how do we design for resilience? We have to put a lot of different things in place. One of the things I was talking to somebody about earlier tonight was keeping manual overrides available. Think about it. What if we go to a place today, a lot of, obviously if it's a new traffic pattern, it's being controlled from somewhere else, right? It's not being controlled locally. But you could still have somebody pull up and open a box, right, and change that. You have to have manual overrides. So make sure these are being set up in your plans and in your retrofits. Also look at layered defense. Make sure there's redundancy in place. One of the things we've done in my business the last 10 or 15 years a lot, again, I started in this business when people still had tape drives, right? They're still doing tape backup. And I'd go to a law firm and say, hey, when's the last time you changed that tape? Oh, Joyce changes it every Friday afternoon. And she puts it in her 67 Buick and drives home. Yeah, well, have you ever tested that backup? They never tested it. So you'd actually get the tapes and they'd have some kind of a failure and you try to pull those tapes back together and they'd be losing data all the time. Today you have to have redundancy. It's easy to do today. Everybody has high-speed internet. Remember when we were using T1s, bonded Ts? We thought we were real fast. We got 3 megabytes per second up and down. Boy, we're flying. And today you can be in a random neighborhood and get 1,000 up and down. 2,000 up and down. So our world's really changed. Everybody can do those kind of backups and do that kind of redundancy. I've got a Starlink that I use when I travel a little bit, and now everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, you can be in backwoods, South Georgia, Alabama, Florida, anywhere. You can do backups. You can do cloud-based backups. So make sure you're doing that. Isolating things, only having certain people who have access, and isolating those systems. And then having detection response set up. Yes, sir.
Do you leave your phones at the front desk when you all work?
I do not at my company, no.
The reason I ask is because I found out my camera has to have listening in order to operate. It's got a backdoor listening. It's listening right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when it's turned off?
I turn the camera, I turn it off, I turn the camera off.
Really?
So that's why I'm asking. There's another problem. They're using our electronic systems to eavesdrop.
Of course they are. Everybody read 1984, right? Ironically, Marty and I read it in 1984. It was written in 1948, and we read it in 8th grade. And so, I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, there's going to be cameras everywhere that are looking at us, and you never thought that would happen, right? I mean, I was in the 80s, I'm worried about, World War III, right? I saw war games the year before. I thought, good gracious, there's going to be a war, and I'm in high school. Today, it's very different. Very, very different. Our world is very different. Everybody has high-speed internet. There are cameras everywhere. There are listening devices everywhere. And these companies are trying to use this information as much as they can for their benefit, right? We got to be protecting. Yeah.
One of my concourse projects, the IT AV team, I was actually listening into a meeting where they were actually placing the security cameras in the terminal. And their main focus was, let's just make sure we don't have any blind spots. Mm-hmm. They were placing enough cameras all around that terminal building where they were actively trying to eliminate any potential blind spots.
Of course.
Anywhere in the public areas.
You have to. Because all that happens today, there's so many, and we just had that tort reform go through the General Assembly, and I know y'all are part of that. I'm not going to bring up how y'all voted on that. But that was so important because without cameras like that, you have somebody fall somewhere, and what's going to happen? Somebody can take a case to a certain level, and maybe they already had a twisted knee. It wasn't it wasn't a place in the floor or whatever. They just fell, weren't near a camera, and now nobody can prove it wasn't on them. All right, so remember, as engineers, if this is you, and again, so many of you are already way ahead of this, but if you've been passive about cybersecurity or about AI the last few years, or you really haven't taken it on yet, it's time for you to be proactive. It's time for you to be, I know you're aware, every one of you is aware of this, but it's time to be proactive. Transition your mindset from security is someone else's job to secure design as part of safe design. I was telling Marty earlier, we were talking, and Phil and I were talking, a friend of mine is a mechanical engineer and runs a weaving plant up near Clemson. And they've got looms that are 30, 40 years old. Nothing's controlled by the cloud there. Everything's controlled locally. But even him, we were talking, and I said, hey, what kind of things could shut your business down? What kind of things? Well, what if we didn't have power? Now, they do have redundant power, just like data centers do, right? Data centers always have redundant power from natural gas so they can keep running. But designing these things ahead of time, getting ahead of this is what's important. He's already got machines that are 30, 40 years old. He can't do anything about those. Those things are millions of dollars to replace them. They can't replace all of them. They replace one or so a year. But it's making sure the design is in place. So what do they need to keep running? They have to have power. They have to have internet. So they've got 2 internet circuits. They've got redundant power. They run almost 24 hours a day. They've got people there who can do manual overrides. They've got people there who can fix parts, who can replace parts when they need to. They can keep running. Now that's pretty manual. We're looking at looms that are built in the 70s. Some of you are doing projects that are way more advanced than that. Make sure to understand, just because you're an engineer, it's really important for you to be involved in the cybersecurity side.
The other thing to do is don't put, if it's a critical infrastructure piece or anything critical within your business, don't put it on a public internet.
Correct.
It's that simple.
Yeah, look, and don't put it on the public internet. Also, don't put, remember, and I think all you know this, do not, if you're going to use, and not that many of you raised your hand that you're using ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, but if you're using a free version of any of these AI tools, these large language models, and there's hundreds of them today, right? Some of them are just focused in some of them are just engineering based that you could use. Remember, don't put personal or company information on there because they will use that information for someone else. So again, the call to action tonight, and the reminder is for all of you, is to make sure that you're securing your projects, that you're protecting the systems, and you're leading in this area. I'm not an engineer either. I always tell people I know more about the Crimean War than what I sell. I mean, I taught history for years, and that's really what I understand. But I do understand this too. I can't fix any of it, but I understand it, and I know how serious it is. And again, somebody told me the other day, this is a really good analogy to think about this. If we were to think about the AI world, so what they landed in Jamestown in 1607, they landed at Plymouth Rock in 1620, and we started moving just a little bit in the colonies, right? Wasn't really developed down here. Georgia wasn't developed. There were still Native Americans living here. But we just had this little bit of European involvement in let's say Virginia to Massachusetts, right? That's about what they say AI is today. It's about gone that far. Now today, obviously, as a developed, California is totally developed. It's our largest state, population-wise. But it took a long time to get there, right? We had Manifest Destiny, we had that whole period, and the gold rush, which brought a lot of people out there. This is where we are with AI today. We got a long way to go. We're at the very cusp of it. Take advantage of it, use it to your benefit, but be aware of the risks. Any questions? You've already asked some good questions. Any other ones? Yes, sir.
This isn't a question, but I'd like to give a little bit of a case study. My company makes medical devices, and we've just released a brand new one. It looks a lot like a electric toothbrush, and there's a separate unit that has a charging station. What it does is it takes blood flow and makes it into a sound, so you can hear a whoosh, whoosh, every time, there's a heartbeat. And the charging station, what we did was we put a speaker in there so that the clinician can go and can hear that. So we made a lot of security decisions when we did that. As Steve mentioned, the first thing we did was it's not on the internet. But it does have a wireless connection to that speaker. So all of a sudden, we do have some security issues. And what we did was we decided to use a technology that requires pairing, just like Bluetooth. Well, what we decided to do was we said we will disable the ability to perform pairing over the air. And the only way you can perform pairing is if you take that electric toothbrush, if you will, and stick it in the charging station. And when you do that, that will automatically pair those two. That also keeps away other problems, like if we have two in adjacent rooms,
Right.
you don't want it going off in the room next door.
Correct.
So if you, as you mentioned, if you think about this up front and you're looking at the security from the beginning, you can go and you can make a device, in my case we make devices, that are inherently secure. But we still had to go through, and the FDA requires us to go through and do a cybersecurity risk analysis. We have to have a cybersecurity plan, a risk analysis. We created probably 6 or 8 different reports trying to show how we met all of the cybersecurity requirements that a medical device that's being released this year has to go and meet. And because of those design decisions, most of the things became NA or, this is how we handled it, and it became more of a paperwork exercise than oh my goodness, we didn't think of this, we have to redesign the product.
Which would have cost you millions, right?
Right, it would have cost a huge amount of money and would have delayed us for years.
Correct. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. We have to get ahead of it. It doesn't matter what type of engineering you're in. It matters that we're thinking about it and getting ahead of it.
Yeah, and I can tell you, if you really want to take it to extremes, decades ago when I worked for the DoD, and Luther was talking a little bit about this, we had physical one-time pad keys for our encryption, and there were armed transports that moved these things around. And if any one of them was compromised, they all got destroyed and we started all over again.
Wow.
And then the network communications cables between our facilities were inside of a electrically charged housing that we constantly monitored. So if there was a change in that electrical field on that casing, we knew somebody was trying to tap into the wiring, and we'd immediately shut the link down.
Really?
So that's how far you can take this, depending on how serious you are about the security.
You can. Well, thank you for your time tonight. I enjoyed being here. Yeah.
If you'll accept this, a small token of our appreciation.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to come up here.
I was glad to do it.
Remind us. So.
Yeah.
Of the trouble that lurks.
It's out there.
All right, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation given at one of the Atlanta Metro Chapter meetings of the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers, an affiliate of the National Society of Professional Engineers. To find out more about us or to join us, check us out at gspe.org.